Hi there, and welcome to the Google Ecosystem 101 training module. My name is Kevin Denton. I created this training module, and I appreciate you taking the time to work through it, and I hope it's helpful for you. In this screencast, I'm going to give you a quick idea of the rationale for this training, the goals of the learning modules, and a brief suggestion about how to move around between all of the windows. Because this course is completely online, you will only be using a web browser, no need for any other software, and obviously you'll need to have an internet connection. I prefer using Google Chrome as my browser because of faster speeds, but just about any browser will work. So let's go ahead and dive in here. Although Google as a search engine was rolled out in 1997 and has been ubiquitous in use for the last decade, Google Apps have only been around for about the last 5 years. And so for this reason, the collaborative capabilities of many free Google applications are still lesser known to many school educators. And despite the lack of familiarity, the number of free applications offered by Google continues to explode and evolve into what is now becoming called the Google ecosystem because of the variety of tools and applications which work in concert with one another and are even supplanting the need for software on your local computer. So the Google ecosystem is essentially a suite of free apps offered by Google. Many of them are well known, such as Gmail, YouTube, Calendars, Google Maps, Google Earth, Blogger, and many more that are lesser known, more obscure, many that are made for the private sector. We're going to be focusing in this learning module on the productivity suite of applications called Google Docs. And the Google Docs refer to several different types, not just documents. The first of which is a document, much like a Word document or a word processing. The second is a presentation, very similar to a PowerPoint. The third are spreadsheets, very similar to Microsoft Excel. Drawings as well can be collaborated on and worked with. And then there are also Google Forms and an experimental app called Fusion Tables, which are basically infographics, and we'll take a look at those in this course. The Google Docs are really a simplified version of Office products. They don't have the bells and whistles, but for what most people do, the documents, the presentations, the spreadsheets, and so forth have most of the functionality that 80% of us need 80% of the time. As a result, there's no need for software, only the internet. All of these applications run through your browser, and there's no need to download any programs. They allow for collaborative sharing and editing, which allows for more efficient revision. What I mean by that is, for example, let's say you have a Word document that you would like to elicit some feedback from some colleagues, and you send that out and you ask for feedback, and it probably takes a few days, and then you get replies back with all of the documents and all of the changes, and then it's up to you as the author of that document to compile the changes, make them, save the new document, and possibly go around for a second round of revision. Instead, with Google Docs, revision is on the fly, live. In fact, up to 200 people can be revising one document at one time. And so therein lies some of the power of Google Docs. They're accessible and editable from anywhere where there's an internet connection. Now, this training module is developed with the context of K-12 educators in mind. Historically, teachers with technological limitations and lack of software could not rely on technology as a viable tool for pervasive use in the classroom. But now, with so many free applications available, with only an internet connection, which has become almost assumed in American schools, we as instructional designers feel that instructional training, this module in particular, will heighten the potential use by teachers. Now, more technology in the classroom, more computers, more netbooks, more iPads does not necessarily mean more learning. Technology in the classroom can enhance, but the right tools are necessary. And Google Docs, we feel, is the right tool for collaboration and increased productivity in a K-12 classroom. It's a very useful resource in the classroom for sharing information, for access. A student can access whatever they're creating in the classroom from a computer at the library or a computer at home. It increases communication, collaborative editing, as I've spoke of before, and data analysis and display, as we'll see in some of the forms and fusion tables later in the training. So the purpose of this instructional module then really is to provide teachers with a survey of the most useful Google ecosystem apps and to have them practice using them to perform tasks that promote and increase engagement and collaboration between students. And through this training, teachers will develop class-specific documents, media, and other applications for use in their individual classrooms using the Google Docs applications. And in so doing, it's hoped then that the teachers will become more familiar with the apps and find ways to have their own students utilize Google Docs in their classrooms for assignments and learning activities. So really the training is aimed at encouraging and promoting more collaborative technologies in the classroom to enhance 21st century learning. So the course objectives for this training: in this instructional module, learners will collaborate with others using a Google Doc. Learners will create a blog and post comments. They'll create and share a Google Doc. They'll select an appropriate doc, meaning a presentation, a spreadsheet, or a drawing, for completing a task. And they'll create, share, and view responses from a Google form. And all of this will be done in the context of relevant and meaningful learning activities for each person. So there will be a lot of choice involved in the assignments and in the learning. Now there are a couple other optional course objectives if learners choose to complete Module 4, and that would be to subscribe to a favorite blog via an RSS feed aggregator, which is a handy tool, and also to create a fusion chart from form responses. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what we're going to be doing in this training, and I just want to say a real quick word about getting around now in the training. Because it's all going to take place in a web browser, you're going to likely have many different windows open, and as you can see here I have 3 only, but potentially you'll have up to 10 or so open. So these are tabs, and to create a new tab you just click File and New Tab. That should bring up a new tab for you here, and you can copy paste a URL in there, or you may go directly to a link such as Module 1, which is where you'll be heading next, and right click and open that link in a new tab, and you will see it arrive up there, and this allows you to bounce back and forth between different items. Now the things you'll want to have open at all times would be first this blog, which is kind of the course skeleton and accesses all of the pages and resources. And you'll also want to have your Google account or your Google Drive page open, as this is where your Google Docs that you're creating and sharing and viewing will all be located here. You may create folders using these here and organize them as I have as well. So, getting around the course blog, you hopefully found yourself to this page which is where you access this screencast. Where you'll head next then is to Module 1 here, and when you've completed Module 1, you'll head to Module 2, Module 3, if you choose the optional Module 4. And please, all of you, don't forget to complete the course evaluation when you're finished with the training. I hope the training is relevant, useful, and I look forward to your feedback so I can improve the training in the future, and also I look forward to seeing what products you create with the Google ecosystem. Best of luck to you.